is Friday, August 23rd, 2013. I'm Doug Hagman, co-host along with my son Joe Hagman. Together we are the Hagman and Hagman Report. Folks, you're about to hear the most amazing information, at least in my estimation.
Our guest is on the line with us, Mr. Jim Lee, and folks post his website in the chat room. It is climateviewer.com. Go to his website. We're going to be talking about a number of things tonight, mainly Fukushima. Mr. Lee, how are you today?
I am well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. The pleasure is all ours. You had your finger on the pulse of what was going on in Fukushima as well as many other things. I'm going to turn it over to you and let you begin to tell us.
Okay. Let's talk about it.
This is the worst ecological disaster in the history of mankind, and why aren't we hearing a word about this? What's going on?
When you're talking about something as large as the nuclear industry, with such a dirty, long history, very, very strict perception management techniques need to be applied because, A, there's a lot of fear associated with, mass releases. So, in this scenario, the government thinks that you're too stupid to take the information, deal with it properly, stay out of the rain, don't allow the radioactive fallout to get on you.
And let me stop you there, because some people, now originally I thought, no, maybe this wasn't going to be that bad, but as I hear about the stay out of the rain because this nuclear material, I mean, this is true, isn't it? The contaminant, this is bad.
Hattrick Penry has got the best article I've seen, and it's called Something Wicked This Way Comes, The Story of Plumegate, the World's Largest Provable Cover-Up. Love the title, Hattrick. But, as the first month went on, the hydrogen explosion occurred. I'm watching YouTube with all my homeboys, and literally there are people putting up videos. I went outside, it just rained. I collected this water. It's only a pure rain sample, and they're showing the Geiger counter over top of it, and it's going off. From what I understood, the EPA RadNet turned itself off or modified its numbers during that time. Hattrick Penry and RadChick. If you go to Climate Viewer, you just click on radiation and then click nuclear, the pink and blue YouTube buttons. I tend to go to these people as experts, okay? But at the same time, when I go to them, I'm always wary that they could be confused or that they could, have gotten bad information.
Well, let me ask this question right here, because we had someone who sent an email. Now, you've seen, I suspect you've seen the Fukushima radiation map in the Pacific. I'm not sure. Yeah, it might have had a NOAA insignia on it. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
The one you're referring to is commonly mistaken.
Okay.
Now there are two different ones. I've seen 6 different models. Most of them are 3D, and maybe 3 different images that are floating around.
Right.
Now the ones that are by ASR Limited, those are legit. That was an actual model of cesium being spread across the ocean. The one you're probably referring to that shows the entire Pacific Ocean coated in a rainbow color.
Correct. That's the one. What's the legitimacy on that one?
That is a tsunami height map.
Isn't that interesting?
That is actually the wave height of the magnitude 9 earthquake that caused the meltdown.
So the visual reference that you found, is it anywhere near? Does it look like anywhere near what that incorrectly referenced image? And folks, you know what I'm talking about. You know the map I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything? Is it close to that, or no?
The reality of the situation is this, and I'm just trying to be realistic here. A, we don't know what the total number, becquerels per liter were coming out, and we don't know what the chemical composition of those, how much of it was cesium, strontium, tritium, xenon. We don't know, okay? Too many variables. So first of all, we'll never know. Second of all, since we don't know the total numbers, and I mean, the last I heard it was like 300 million gallons per day were coming out of there. So who knows? But the bottom line is this. I want people to understand what cesium is, first of all.
Okay.
Cesium is cesium-137. It comes from the fuel rods. It is the most abundant leftover from a nuclear meltdown. It has a 30-year half-life. For those who don't know what a half-life is, radioactivity is measured in a number, and the half-life means that if the number is 100, in whatever the half-life is, say it's 30 years here, in 30 years, its power will now be 50. In another 30 years, its power will be 25, and then in another 30 years, you get the point. So it means that every 30 years, it becomes half the power it was. Typically, cesium-137 lasts 180 to 300 years.
About my lifespan.
Yeah. Well, unless we all become robots, but whatever. It is completely water soluble, meaning that it melts in water, and it's a macronutrient which mimics potassium. Now, macronutrient, what does that mean? In the ocean, it's going to be absorbed by the smallest creatures first. You know, plankton, I don't know, something's going to eat it. And it's going to get into their bodies. And then a fish is going to eat the plankton, and then a shark is going to eat the, fish, and then we eat the shark. That's called bioaccumulation. And what that means is it starts out at the smallest organisms, plants, corn, milk, meat, and as it goes up the food chain, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker. An example of this in the past is DDT. Go look it up. Cesium does the same thing. So whereas there's not going to be a lot of death at first, it is deposited all over America. At least most of the left coast is coated in it. I've heard some horror stories, but I'm not gonna use speculation on there. But the bottom line is it's going to be there for a very long time. If it is truly there, and I mean, by everybody's radiation meters, and by the models that I've seen, Nilo. I've got all the links on my article. You can go look at it. It's on Climate Viewer. Click on the radiation monitor. You can see all the details there of these different models that were done, and they all point towards, the president lied to us. Sorry, Obama. There was a reason to be concerned. In the Chernobyl accident back in the 80s, they issued, warnings to stay out of the rain in Oregon. Okay? And Chernobyl was way further inland than Japan.
Right, and a lot less troublesome, or a lot less of a disaster. Is that a true statement? A lot less of a disaster than Fukushima?
I've heard it both ways at this point, but it's completely speculation. Nobody. The bottom line is this: in a perception management world, you've got a $1 trillion industry. Okay, you've got the world's largest discussion, climate change going on, and they're trying to spin nuclear fuel as green energy. And then I hear them, saying this stuff about got to have more nukes and got to drill some more. And I've seen the dirty side of these industries. That's what Climate Viewer is about. I cover the things that nobody wants to talk about, like the Bayou Corn sinkhole. Things where communities were destroyed because of industry that did not care how much it polluted the ground. If anybody's seen the Lorax, I'm generally, and I speak for the trees. And that's why I made all this. I feel like, before my daughter was born, I worshipped war. I thought it was cool. I said, America, awesome. We kick butt. And I realized afterwards, I said, that's kind of a mean attitude. Now I got this girl. I can't, be mean. And I started looking at how bad things were. And it overwhelmed me very quickly. So I made a 3D map. It's a Google Earth I used this KML thing so that I could put dots on the map. And I just started putting dots where I found, really bad pollution stories. Like, wow, their whole city is destroyed as a result of this one corporation. It's amazing. And then I found out about the EPA Superfund sites. Turns out they're everywhere. There are these toxic holes all around America. And then you find out about, like, the Simi Valley nuclear, the Rocketdyne Systems had an illegal nuclear power plant leaking everywhere. It's a Superfund site now. The Hanford nuclear site, it's leaking today. It's leaking right now. It was just announced about an hour ago. Go look it up. And there's an emergency over there. So a couple hours prior to the show, there was an emergency at the Omaha plant. So, there are really high numbers of gamma radiation. The bottom line is this. I live in South Carolina. I'm near the Savannah River nuclear site. There's really no protection whatsoever in America, and that's what concerns me. They have these monitors, as clearly shown in Patrick Penry's documents. They can turn them off and on whenever they want, because God forbid they go off and tell the truth. What would you people do? You're stupid. You're not to be trusted. You might riot. Oh my God, people might go and steal a bunch of rebreathers out of a hardware store and riot everywhere. So they think that you're too stupid to deal with it yourself. I think Patrick Henry would disagree. That's where we are. We're in a society where everybody thinks that the government's going to save them when their time is down. There's no personal responsibility. The families teach nothing. Religion is mocked. It's a real sad state where we really don't have anything to fall back on. And unless people start to see, and go back to slave speak and perception management, unless people start to see that in almost every case where human society goes to make progress, there are going to be those who are in power who do not want that change. The nuclear industry is definitely that. It's a dirty, dirty industry. The pollution that it creates is going to be with us for thousands and thousands of years. When these accidents occur, the places are uninhabitable forever. Okay. Now, a 1,000 years from now, they may be able to come up with some technology to change that, but that ain't today.